Tesla's Model S has dominated the full-size all-electric market for more than a decade now, but this Lucid Air is here to challenge that crown. What's up, folks? I'm Dave Underkoffler, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, back with another one-week test drive. This week's victim is the 2023 Lucid Air. The model we're testing right here has 819 total horsepower, 469 miles of all-electric range, plus a really cool interior and exterior design. So is all of that going to be enough to unseat the Model S and take on rivals like the Mercedes-Benz EQS and BMW i7? Let's go spend a week with one and find out. All right, let's take a look at the exterior of this Lucid Air. 4 different trim levels it comes in right now. There's the Pure, which is $87,000. Then there's the Touring, which is $107,000. Then this Grand Touring, which is about $138,000. And then on top of that, there's a Sapphire, which is over 200 grand. It's sort of a crazy fast limited edition. Obviously, the more you spend, the more range you get, the more horsepower you get. I'll get into those details a little bit later. But by and large, all of the Airs are going to look very similar to this. They don't really vary that much. I like the design. It's unique. It's very cool looking without being too weird. It's not derivative. Definitely turns heads here in LA, which is saying something. We've got a lot of cool cars on the road. This one holds its own. In terms of dimensions, it's about 2 inches shorter and 2 inches narrower than the Tesla Model S, which is saying something because this car looks pretty long and wide, but a little bit smaller than the Model S. We've got 19-inch alloy wheels here. I don't love that design, sort of an aero component to them, but I've seen better. Got some Grand Touring badging right there. These door handles should pop out. Yeah, they pop out there. And then show you the trunk. So cargo space isn't the same on this as it is in the Model S. Remember, the Model S is a hatchback, so that gives you a lot more room to work with. It's got decent space. Those seats do fold down pretty flat, but it's sort of a narrow trunk opening in terms of the height. Very wide. I mean, look at that. The whole back of the car sort of swings up. But definitely down on cargo space, you do have more room down there. So that's pretty deep. So it's useful for sure. I do wish that this opening though were wider. If you have tall stuff, big stuff you're putting back there. We'll show you a couple of other details. It does have a frunk. Not all, radio's on. Not all EVs have a frunk, right? By the way, there's a charge port that opens. But this Lucid does have a very nice frunk. It's bigger than the Model S. May not look like it right there, but pull that out of the way. Voila. A lot of room. So it may not have the rear cargo space as the Model S, but it does have the Model S beat in terms of what you can do up front. So pretty cool. All right, let's check out the interior. All right, now to the interior of this Lucid Air. I gotta start by pointing out just how remarkable this interior is. It is so hard to do properly a good interior, and for Lucid to come right out of the gate and build this as their first vehicle is pretty remarkable. The sophistication of it and the quality and the materials and the execution is on par with Mercedes or Audi or BMW, and that's so hard to do. So kudos to Lucid. They've done a phenomenal job. If you're spending $100,000, this is what you would expect. If you're coming out of any of those German brands, this is going to feel right at home, right? This is going to be the quality that you're expecting. A couple of details. This is a 34-inch screen all the way across here. It's pretty cool. There's some features that I like, some I don't. For one thing I don't like, a lot of wasted space. There's really nothing that displays sort of here. Not a lot of useful information there. If you use your blinkers, it will turn on the camera, so you have sort of a side view, which is cool, but don't be too impressed because Hyundais do that today. So you don't need to spend 100 grand to get that. But otherwise, sort of just a lot of real estate they're not using that well. A little thing that drives me nuts, that's the range right now. It will only show either the range or the battery percentage. It doesn't show both. You've got this whole screen. I don't know why they don't show both. Another small nitpick, and we'll get back to the good stuff. It has wireless Apple CarPlay, which is nice, right? Tesla's Model S doesn't have that, but it's pretty small. This is sort of the only display that you have for it. So it does get a little frustrating, but generally lots of cool stuff. This is sort of your home screen, so you can show the navigation system, and it will also display down there. You can toggle this back up. Oh, there we go. And then this is more of settings, drive modes. You also have climate control down there. But I do like that you can take the screen and then swipe it down. You can do the same for the audio. So there's audio, and then we can swipe down, gives you more audio functions there. Another nice thing, if you've seen our videos, you know my pet peeve is that everything is touchscreens. Not so on the Lucid Air. You've got temperature control, fan speed for both passenger and driver, and this is a volume knob, so I love that they've got physical buttons there. And then just the fabrics and the materials that they're using are really cool. You've got suede here, leather up top, you've got this really nice matte wood finish, brushed metal along there, sort of a fabric down here. It all works really well. The design is nice, it's not derivative. Again, it's unique, much like the exterior. The steering wheel here, you've got volume buttons here, you know, sort of your standard steering wheel operation. More of a touch panel over there. So yeah, a lot of really cool things to like. Seats are very comfortable, good bolstering. They look nice too. I'll point out the glass roof. Kind of cool. Sort of slopes all the way back. You got your sunshade here. One thing about this roof though, it gets hot. If you're in a warm climate, this is going to get a little frustrating. It hasn't even been that hot here in LA, maybe, you know, 80 degrees. And when I've gotten in the car, whew, it's toasty. It cools off quick, but it is pretty toasty. But generally, yeah, there's just a lot to like here. Really impressive interior, very comfortable and quiet. All right, let's take a look at the rear seats. Before we do, I want to show you a few cool things about these doors themselves. You may be wondering, where are the door handles? They are integrated down there. You pull this lever back and the door will open. It just gives the door design itself a very clean look. I like that. You also have a power sunshade. So you pull up on the window button and that will open. And then the door itself opens really wide. Look how wide that is. Almost 90 degrees. That's pretty cool. So put the sunshade down and get in. You may have noticed as soon as I got in, this screen down here turned on. You've got your own climate control for the rear seats. That's pretty cool. And then the seats themselves are heated, three-way heated seats, and for the middle seat too. You don't always see that. That's actually pretty rare. So it's cool that they have that on the Lucid. And then you touch that and you can control the rear sunshade behind me. So a lot of good functionality on this screen. You also have a little bit of storage down there. In terms of space, there is lots of it. If you've seen our videos before, you know the drill. I put the front seat to where I would have it if I were sitting up there. I'm 6'1", so basically I'm sitting behind myself, and there is just tons of leg room for my feet, my knees. Very comfortable place to be. Lots of headroom as well. Got the glass roof up there. So overall, lots of comfortable space. The floor here is flat, so you could put 3 adults sitting all the way across and they could ride comfortably. So definitely the luxury experience you would expect, right? This is $138,000. It should come with that. And then if you are an eagle-eyed observer, you may be noticing the front seats are dark. That's quite black, but almost. And the rear seats are not. They are light. That is not an accident. They didn't run out of leather. That is just a design choice Lucid has made. And it took me a minute to get used to, but once I did, it's pretty cool. It's very calming back here, and that was sort of the goal. So yeah, overall, the experience in the rear seats definitely lives up to what you would expect from a mainstream brand, and that's pretty cool. Again, that Lucid right out of the gate gives you all this very sophisticated, comfortable interior on their first vehicle. So let's go drive it. All right, driving impressions. Before we get to those, a little bit of housekeeping though, in terms of which model and which power comes with which model. So we're in the Grand Touring, and that means we get a 112 kilowatt hour battery. It makes 819 horsepower. It has an EPA rated range of 469 miles, and it will do 0 to 60 in 3 seconds flat, and that's been verified by Car and Driver. On top of that, there is a performance package you can get. It's $41,000. It bumps up the horsepower to 1,050 horsepower. The range goes to 516 miles, and the 0 to 60 time drops to 2.6 seconds. It's got a little bit of a bigger battery. It's 118 kilowatt hour. I've been driving the normal version of the Grand Touring for about a week now. I can't imagine why you'd want to step up. $41,000, that's a Tesla Model 3 for that kind of money. So you don't need to step up, spend that that money to get true performance and exhilarating handling out of the Grand Touring. This model has it. It's been really fun to drive. So just what makes this car so fun to drive? Well, it's remarkably versatile. There are 3 different drive modes you can put it in. There's smooth, there's swift, and then there's sprint. And each of those progressively dials up the aggression of this car's handling characteristics. This is not a small car, this is a heavy car, but it feels remarkably athletic as you put it into the more aggressive settings. And I really like that. But you also are not paying a penalty when you have it in those settings. It's still perfectly comfortable. You could have it in swift and drive it every day and not feel like your teeth are chattering or the suspension is too stiff. The steering has really good feedback. You have a sense of where this car is in the road, kind of at all speeds. That's really nice. There are 2 levels of regenerative braking, normal and high. I've been keeping it in high, and that gives you true one-pedal driving. There are some commutes I've gone on where I've never even touched the brakes. It's that strong, and I really like that. You can turn it down if that's not something you're used to. When you do get on the brakes themselves, though, that's a little bit of a disappointment. The brakes feel pretty mushy, but you do also see that on some other EVs, so it's not just isolated to this Lucid. Other things I don't like is, I gotta say, the visibility in this car is some of the worst I've experienced in a car in a really long time. This A pillar right here and the B pillar over my shoulder are absolutely massive, and then the rear window is pretty narrow. For some reason, the rear view mirror feels like it's warped a little bit. Maybe it's just this test car, but all of that adds up to a very poor level of visibility. It's very hard to see anything sort of in other lanes, so you got to be pretty careful when you're changing lanes. As I showed you earlier in the interior look, it does have some cameras, so when you do put on the blinkers, a camera view of either your right side or left side will show up in the dashboard in front of you. That's a nice feature to have, and I find myself relying on it probably too much because I just can't see what's going on out the window. So in terms of competition, there are 3 models that come to mind. For one, the Tesla Model S Plaid. That's quite a bit cheaper than this car. It's about $30,000 cheaper. It has more horsepower, and it's less range, and it's faster 0 to 60. I will say this car does feel more sophisticated, so I would probably choose this. A Porsche Taycan GTS is about the same price as this Grand Touring. It has less power. That's going to be sort of the handling car. If you really want something that feels like a sports car, go with the Taycan. But for general driving, this one's going to sort of win out. And then there's the Mercedes EQS AMG. I'm not a fan of that car. It's down on power. It's $10,000 more. The range is considerably less. It doesn't even stack up in my mind. This car absolutely beats it. So for the most well-rounded mix of performance and luxury right now in sort of the full-size luxury EV sedan market, this is really where it's at. All right, folks, there you have it, our 1-week test drive of the 2023 Lucid Air Grand Touring. Overall, we've been really impressed with this car. It's a phenomenal first effort from Lucid right out of the gate, and it definitely holds its own against rivals like the Mercedes-Benz EQS, the BMW i7, the Tesla Model S, and the Porsche Taycan. It's not perfect. The glass roof does make things really hot inside, and the visibility is awful, but those are small prices to pay for what is overall a great combination of luxury and performance. So for reviews or listings of this Lucid or anything else you're shopping for, be sure to check out Autolist.com. And before you go, like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. Thanks for watching.